Hey guys, it's History Man over here, also known as Troy, and today is going to be a different video. It's not a rant video. It's not that. Even though I do have some rant videos, I will upload them. Maybe later on, and get some other rant videos for you guys. And the Meiji Restoration is coming up. I'm just editing it right now. But this is something different. I want to get this thing off my chest. I've been thinking about this all day today. I've been thinking about this all day. It's just something that I want to get off my chest. And this video is gonna get personal. So, if you, I kind of understand if you want to click away. It's understandable. You can click away if you don't want to hear it. I just want to tell you guys why I've been off from YouTube for the past a year or so, and I'm kind of actually proud of myself that I'm actually uploading the Meiji Restoration, or at least one history video in my life. I know you guys are, getting tired of my grandfather's pictures and stuff like that. I get it, but at the same time, YouTube, I think, is a great source for storing stuff like that. Since it's old slides from the 60s and 70s. But anyway, back to why. So, as you guys know, I've been, I'm not sure if you saw my channel update video of, why I was depressed, and I'm gonna give you more detail of why I was depressed, why I was gone for almost a year. So as you guys know, my grandfather passed away on October 26th, 2019, and it was hard for me to actually watch this loss because he was the greatest man I ever knew. He was the greatest man I ever lived, and it's kind of hard just to see how I don't know, like my family just says, to me, which is true, but they say, oh, my grandfather never loved you, or whatever, he never loved you. It's true, he never loved me at first, but later on he started to adopt. So as you guys, I don't think as you guys know, I'll tell you right now, I don't think you guys know that, I'm gonna give you some background about me. So, my parents were very bad people. My dad was a drug dealer. My mother did the same thing. She was also in drugs. And one time in the apartment, I don't think I have this correctly, but I've heard that the police swatted my dad, and they made him they arrested him, and I've heard that I was also hiding in the my mom was hiding in the closet, and I think that's the story. I'm not too sure, but I don't know the full story of how I brought to my grandparents' house. But she grabbed me and drove to my grandparents' house, and my grandmother wanted me, but at the same time my grandfather didn't. And it's kind of understandable that my grandfather didn't want me at first because he had kids of his own. Back in the in the 50s and 60s. So I kind of get why he doesn't want to take care of another child. And I mean, if somebody walked up, if one of my family members walked to me and told me to take care of their child, I mean, or just somebody just walked into me. I mean, it's like, I have no business of doing that. I mean, maybe from another family member, but maybe if I was married, and you guys know what I'm talking about. If someone walked up to me and say that, and just say, hey, you should take care of my child, I'm gonna say no, obviously. So I don't blame him for that. I really don't. But my grandmother, pretty much my family thinks that I'm not proud of that, and I actually am. That my grandmother took me, and I'm actually proud of that. Now, I think that without my grandfather, I wouldn't have this channel. I wouldn't be the person that you get. You wouldn't be the Troy that you would know. This is going to be like a different Troy. I'm going to be the modern 21st century teenager out there. I'm probably going to listen to mom. I'm going to be a totally different person if I lived. If my grandfather didn't exist, I'll be a totally different person mentally. I'll still be here, but I'm a totally different person mentally, and that's what my family just doesn't get. You don't get that. I think without my grandfather, I wouldn't be here mentally. He taught me all these amazing things, and I'll get to that in that point. But he passed away, and I tried to help him. I saw him that he had a heart attack, and I tried to help him, and sadly he passed. I was so upset at the fact that my grandma, the first thing she would do is to call a doctor that is very far away and can't really get there in time, instead of calling 911 to get an ambulance for him. So I was so upset at that point that that's like literally the first thing that you would do is so. I was so upset at the point that she does it, that I actually walked outside and get the neighbor so he can call 911. And good thing I saw a patrol car that was coming by, and I said to the police officer that my grandfather was dying and stuff like that. He actually went in and he actually performed CPR, and then he did actually call EMTs to come over and check him out. And a couple hours later, he was pronounced dead, and that was so hard for me to take. It was so hard for me to take. I had to take a walk around town and just to relax a little. I just don't want to believe that he passed away, and I just didn't want to believe that. He was the greatest man I ever knew, and he was like a father to me, and that's what my family doesn't understand. But I'm gonna get into that rant. That's what they just don't understand. That my family just refused to understand that my grandfather was like some sort of he was a father figure to me, and I think that's what they just don't understand, and they think that I'm not grateful and they think that I'm not grateful for my grandmother that picked me up, and I have no words for that. Like literally, I just don't. I really don't, because I do. It's like I do. It's just that, I'm very happy that I'm just proud of myself that my grandfather took care of me. He actually taught me many things while my grandma was at work. He taught me all types of stuff. He taught me how to do stuff that no modern teenager would. He fiddled with stuff. I watched a lot of World War II documentaries with him and relaxed him. He used to tell me a lot of stories. When I was a kid, he used to read me bedtime stories and stuff that a father would do. And I don't know if that kind of just made him, I'm just guessing that it kind of made him feel that, he was with his own kids when they were small. So I guess it just changed his mind, I guess. And he just liked me more and more as time progresses. And that's just what my family just doesn't understand. They're probably yelling at me if they're watching this video, but to be honest, I don't care. I just want to get this off my chest. It's, and I get that you don't want to hear most of this. I totally get it, but it just needs to be addressed. And I've just been so depressed at the fact I just didn't want to talk to anyone. I just didn't want to go to YouTube. I just didn't want to make videos. I didn't want to post anything on my Instagram. I didn't want to do any of that stuff. I just felt just so depressed that I missed my grandfather so much, and also I just felt that, my future. I felt that, my future is doomed because my grandfather is not in my life. I knew that as soon as my grandfather passes, there are going to be some issues. And, I was just sitting down, and all I'm just doing is just sitting down on my couch and just thinking like what I'm gonna do for my life, how I'm gonna survive in life, how I'm gonna do this, how I'm gonna do this, how I'm gonna do that, because and that's just fucking hard. And just my grandma's just coming in and just yelling at me, yelling at me, most of this stuff. I just kind of just yelled at her and got upset. And I just closed my door and just stuff like that. I'm just like, leave me alone and stuff like that. And just leave me alone and need to think and all that type of stuff, man. Sorry if I'm stuttering and stuff like that, or I'm repeating stuff that you guys heard, but that's just how way I talk, y'all. That's just how I talk. Um, I'm a special needs kid. I have a speech problem, but you know, I can't. It's just a lot of stuff I just can't do. I felt, and yes, I did felt suicidal at some times. That I just feel like no one's not gonna like me. No one's not gonna accept me for who I am, and I just felt, that type of stuff. And I've went to the hospital for like at least 2 times. One was my grandma accused me of just hurting her, which I never did, and and I'll never do. And two is for that reason too as well. And I received a lot of therapy, and just the stuff that I just needed to go through. A lot of therapy, a lot of stuff that I have to go through, especially someone. And especially I talk to people, on Discord. That's also what saved me too. Talk to people like Discord, like Greg and Chase, and most of my viewers, because they kind of understand of what I'm going through, and stuff like this. Um, and what also made me happy is that got me off of it, was because of listening to Mae West's music, actually, and that also kind of make me happy, and I do believe she's also one of the reasons. She kind of saved my life, to be honest. If she was alive right now, I would send a letter to the Ravenswood and actually, tell her that, I want to thank her, that, she kind of saved my life. I like listening to her music. I didn't watch her movies, but I listened to her music, and I brought a couple of records of her, and I just fell in love with the woman. I just like her. So I think that also made me happy. You know what I mean? It made me happy, and leveled up for a bit. Um, what else? And just posting my grandfather's stuff. Archiving my grandfather's slides. Now, it was a thing that I had to argue with, because my grandmother won't. She just viewed it as junk, and it's just all of that type of crap. To me, I just view it as a piece of family history, and my family just don't think that Grandpa's part of the family. He is. I mean, he's not blood related, but to me, he was like a dad. I don't care what anybody says. He's my grandfather no matter what. Not my blood, and other people that are related with him, because I'm actually thankful that these people brought him to existence, and I'm actually happy of his past and why, of his stuff, and I'm very interested on it. So I will be talking about family history in this channel, and what's their stories, and I will tell you about their stories. If you haven't, I do have history. I do have artifacts about my grandfather's past. So about my grandfather's past. So you should check on my Instagram for that. I do have stuff on there. But anyway, I digress. So later on, I have to go to family. I had to go to my uncles. I have to go to my uncles. And I wasn't really having a fun time there, because I was also still depressed. I was still, I was still very depressed. I didn't want to go there. And plus, I had no reason of being there. I wanted to stay at home. I just don't want to just, I guess, talk to my viewers on Discord, I guess. And, stuff like that. And here's also another rant that just bothers my nerves. I'll get to in a second. But when I went for Christmas, I went antiquing. And when I went antiquing, um, again, I was happy that at least I'm going antiquing and stuff like that because it's one of my favorite things to do. I had to wait for a couple of days because what I believe, my aunt just likes to give like an excuse of why she doesn't want to go, why she doesn't want to take me or something like that, even though it's a perfectly good day of just, you can just go there, you know what I mean? You can just go there now. Why the excuse? You know what I'm saying? Always give an excuse of why. If just tell me you don't want to go there, you don't want to go there. Just tell me. But anyway, I went to the antique mall and I purchased a good amount of stuff there. Right? Purchased a good amount of stuff, and obviously they went out and do their own thing. My aunt went out and do their own thing, and going to the mall, looking at clothes, and stuff like that. So I was around looking through the antique mall and see what I can get, what I would like to get, and and then later on I decided to look at a couple more stuff, and I was looking for a couple more stuff, and they started getting very impatient. They act like it's like a 10-year-old, like literally just rushing for her, for her mother to get to go out of the mall because they want to do stuff, and then later on, I just like later on, she's just telling me, oh, this is not what black people do. Now, as you guys know, I'm black, so, and most of my family is black, and I also have white Jewish ancestry. And I'm just, just baffled, because it's like, that's when you just lose an argument. Because I hate the fact that this is something that black people, just because I collect antiques, it's not something that black people do. You know what I mean? Or this is you're like why, like for example, like why you're being white. You know what I mean? Or like why you're being white. Like this, whatever you're doing is being white. To me, I just think that's ridiculous, and that shit needs to stop. And excuse my language, but I just think it's shit, because that needs to stop, because regardless of race, regardless of ethnicity, you can do whatever you want. If you want to try out like some new thing that you never did before, instead of going to this bandwagon of like, liking like basketball and stuff like that, or like other stuff that huge majority of black people, like to do. Now I'm not being racist, I'm just saying as an example. You know what I mean? You can try something different. You don't have to jump in that I mean, if you like basketball, that's totally fine. I'm just using that as an example. You can actually try it. You can actually try something else, something different, something new, regardless of race, color, and skin. Regardless of race, color, and skin. I know multiple black people that actually do collect antiques. Over the years, I haven't, shout out to Over the Years, I haven't watched his videos in a long time, but I think I should. But shout out to him. His wife, is black. I'm not sure if it's his wife or his girlfriend or partner, but she is black, but she also collects antiques. I know another person that she's also black. She also collects antiques too as well. I know a lot of, not a lot, but I know some black people that actually do collect antiques, and And so don't give me that bullshit that this is a white people thing. I hate when, people say that this is a white people. It's like, it makes no sense. It's like, you know, I like Mae West. It's like someone that's like a white guy is telling me, "Oh my God, you're black. Uh, why you like Mae West? She's white as hell." That makes no sense. That literally makes no sense. It's like, I don't even know how to describe it. I just don't like when other black says this, that you can't, like, they just say, "Oh, you act white." Just because I talk proper English, just because I don't listen to mumble rap. I listen to like actual music. Just because I collect antiques, right? That doesn't mean I'm still a black person. I'm a black dude. So I hate when people say that I'm trying to be white, or this is not what black people do, or this is what that. Guys, if you have this issue, if you're black and you have this issue, don't be afraid to try something new that you would like in your lifetime. You know what I mean? If you want to be a doctor, go right ahead. If you want to be a lawyer, go right ahead. If you want to be a police officer, go right ahead. Don't let anyone stop you of just saying about your race that, oh my God, that's what a white person should do, or that's not, you're not black enough, or whatever. I just hate that shit. Sorry guys, phone call. But anyway, yeah, so don't be afraid of just trying something new that you should try, that you really want to try out. Because one of the reasons how I got into antiques was by my art teacher, but that's for another story time. My grandfather got me interested in history, and my history teacher too as well. I think, like, again, if my grandfather didn't exist in my life, I would be a totally different person. That's what my family just refused to understand. I'll be totally different, and I'm actually proud of myself that I'm actually doing these things. I'm not jumping in the bandwagon of what other teenagers like to do. It's just not that. I'm actually proud of myself that I'm doing something that's different, that's unique, something that is just that I'm interested in. Something, instead of going to the bandwagon of me talking about, I don't know, freaking talking about mumble rap artists is all the freaking time, or talking about what type of sneakers I should get, or all that type of stuff that the kids, that teenagers like nowadays. And I'm actually proud of myself that I'm actually doing something different compared to what a lot of teenagers like. I'm actually proud of myself. If he wasn't around, and my grandfather almost died 2 times, well, actually 1 time in his life, but you can say World War II is also another one. The one. Now, my grandfather was stationed. Now we'll tell about my grandfather's World War II life. My grandfather was he was in the army from 1944 to 1948. And at the time, he was in Fort Dix, which is down in South Jersey. I think in Burlington, I think, to be exact. I'm not, like, or at least somewhere near there, right? And I've looked up his unit, and most of his guys fought in the Pacific, but he was actually one of the few lucky soldiers to actually stay in base because the military wanted to keep him because of his talent. He was a very good, excellent photographer, and he knows how to take pictures of cameras very well. And I think is that if if they just shipped him, I think, and shipped into the Pacific and fight with the Japanese, because I don't think his unit fought with the Germans, especially fighting in the bloodiest theater of the Second World War. I mean, even if he survived, that's also some. But if he died during the Second World War, and that means I just never get to meet him, especially, and thank God it never happened. But especially if Operation Downfall, I think that's when they would ship him, regardless of his talent. So, and he would have died in the war, and I'm actually proud of myself that never happened. And he just never got shipped, and he didn't pass. He almost got actually a car accident in the 1940s. Anyway, he almost got into he almost died in the late 40s when he actually fell asleep during the wheel because it was very, very late at night and he got back from work, and especially he had to purchase a carriage for his son, I believe, and I think this was back in 47 or 48, somewhere around there. I think it was 48. And yeah, he almost drowned to the East River. He almost fell asleep, almost dozed over. But luckily, the car went to the right instead of to the left, where the East River was in New York. So, and then he hit a lamp pole, and I think the only injury he had was a bloody nose. So, if the car rode left and actually drove into the East River, he would have died. And I would never met my grandfather, and I would be the same old modern 21st century teenager that I would be, and I wouldn't try something else or something different of my own taste. I would just jump into this bandwagon of of these modern teenagers, and I'm actually proud of myself that he was in my life, and I just needed him in my life. He was a dad to me. He taught me all types of things to me. While my grandma was at work, he used to read bedtime stories to me and all that type of stuff. And that's how much I love this guy. He was a great dad to me. So, think about that when he passes away. Think about it. Just think about it. Learn some history for a change, too, as well. Alright. I think that's what I got off my chest. But I hope you guys understand what I've been going through lately. And at the time, I just felt that I just wasn't important. I wanted to quit YouTube. I wanted to quit Instagram because I just felt nobody liked my content or stuff like that. So it's a sad story. It really is, and I get why you want to click away, but I just want to tell you guys. I mean, right now I'm okay, but it's just hard stuff. You know what I mean? Especially with this COVID-19 pandemic going on and other stuff. It's just something that I need to get out of my chest. It really does. I'm just pissed off today. It really am. So, alright. So, the Meiji restoration video is coming up probably about tomorrow or the next day after. So stay tuned for that. There's going to be a live stream of an interview of a man named Civil War Week by Week. So I will be interviewing him, and I can't wait to do it. Guys, have a nice day or have a nice evening, depending where you're at in the world, and take care.